A dramatic and frightening scene at Boston's Logan Airport this morning, a 727 making an emergency landing without its nose wheel.
WCCO Television presents Bill Carlson, Tony Saffold, and Bud Craling. This is the Noon Report.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Noon Report. I'm Bill Carlson. Tony Saffold has the day off. A Boeing 727, one of the Trump East Coast shuttle fleet, made a rocky landing in Boston this morning. The plane apparently lost its nose landing gear, made one pass. It's settling down, failed, and turned around to try again. This time the jet, with 56 people on board, set down on the runway with nose up as the pilot turned the engine thrust reversers up full. Listen and watch. After just a few sparks, the jet landed safely. No one was injured. Investigations into that landing gear failure are already underway. A Northwest flight from Los Angeles to Minneapolis was forced to make an emergency landing in Denver last night. Today, Northwest officials say they've found two holes, each 4 to 5 inches large, in the plane's number 2 engine. That engine on the DC-10 started to vibrate, but the crew was able to turn it off and land safely at Denver's Stapleton Airport. Today, more than a dozen inspectors are checking the plane, and several of the plane's 256 passengers took another flight to Minneapolis today.
I had a real sense of imminent doom, frankly. I was not at all convinced the plane was going to land safely.
The DC-10 that made a forced landing last night is the same kind of plane that crashed in Sioux City, Iowa last month. That plane's number 2 engine disintegrated. Federal investigators still studying the cause of that fatal crash. Governor Rudy Purpich this morning revealed his long-awaited tax reform plan. He rejected the legislature's proposal several months ago, saying it did not go far enough in giving property tax relief. But some immediate reaction to the Purpich plan says he's gone too far. Pat Kessler standing by now at the Capitol with details. Pat?
Bill, the governor makes sweeping changes in how we pay our taxes, how many taxes we pay, and what the money is used for. And it does make everything an awful lot simpler to understand. Overall, the bill holds down property tax hikes next year, and gradually, by 1999, it cuts taxes and reduces the number of rates from 21 to 3. Perhaps most significant, it requires the state to pay for programs that it orders cities to provide, and it requires cities to pay for any new programs of their own. So it also allows cities to impose their own 1% sales tax locally, and it imposes a new 6% tax statewide on garbage collection, that to help pay for recycling programs. The governor calls his plan a bold new vision.
It's simplified the whole system. There's accountability, and I believe it's going to put a brake on spending. If you take a look at what the long-term effort is at the present time.
It's fair to say the governor's plan has come under a firestorm of criticism, most of it over how long it will take for all of these changes to phase in. What's unusual about this criticism is that it's coming from every corner, from Democrats, from Republicans, from consumer advocates, and from business groups. Here's a sample of what they had to say.
But they really need to go back and do a gut check and decide if they have the guts to try to do this and come back after Labor Day with a bill that's much more ambitious in timing that would implement this whole thing over 4 or 5 years.
You've heard me express concern in the past about fiscal time bombs. My first blush of this bill, this is a fiscal atom bomb.
What's going on here is the guarantees the legislature put in the bill to protect those people against tax increases have been removed, and those dollars are now going over to provide tax relief for megabuck farms and megabuck firms.
Well, the governor always says that the legislature has trouble dealing with long-term reform. They're only concerned, he says, with short-term elections. Now, the governor and the lieutenant governor have flown around the state all day today, and tomorrow they're going to do the same thing, trying to sell this plan directly to the voters. And it looks like there will be a special session, but probably, according to legislative leaders, sometime in late September to work on this bill. Bill?
Pat, with that broadly based criticism, do you think there are going to be significant adjustments?
I think there probably will be. The legislative leaders with whom we spoke today say this is only a proposal. That's what they consider it, and they are going to take the liberty to make a lot of changes.
Okay, thank you very much. Pat Kessler reporting live from the Minnesota State Capitol. Later today, the federal government will release its first official projection of this year's corn and soybean harvest, but some preliminary estimates are already in. Some analysts predict a 7.5 billion bushel corn harvest. That's a 53% increase from last year's drought-ravaged crop. Analysts are also predicting a 27% jump in the soybean harvest. This is, of course, a good news, bad news kind of scenario. Big harvest could ultimately mean a big drop in futures prices on the market. Hennepin County authorities today charged a 64-year-old Minneapolis landlord with attempted arson. They claim Harry Gildmeister deliberately turned on the natural gas in an apartment building he manages at 26th and 2nd Avenue South. In fact, the gas buildup was sufficient to cause an explosion. Winning the major prizes are considered to be about 1 in 13 million. Incidentally, Minnesota's lottery is expected to be in place sometime next year. The Minnesota Twins ended their Baltimore series on a positive note by shutting out the Orioles 7-0 last night. The Noon Report will continue.
Ball, they'll get 1 and 2. And he drives it to left center for a base hit. It is between the outfielders all the way to the wall, and it will score 3 runs as Herbeck goes into second base.
Imagine the most important breakthrough in urban transportation in this century. Imagine the freedom from bus schedules and traffic delays. Imagine hours of tireless shopping and freedom to do what you want to do. All this is not a dream. It's here today. And it's called Carrette by Everston Jennings, your freedom machine. If you want convenient and enjoyable transportation, call this toll-free number for your Carrette Freedom Kit.
You work a little harder. Now see what you have won. A special toy for a busy boy and his place up in the sun.
Whatever it is you're working for, you can buy it for less at Best Buy Superstores.
Ice cream's only ice cream until Nestle tops it with candy tops.
New Nestle Candy Tops. Nestle candy bars turned into luscious toppings like milk chocolate with almonds, Alpine White, even Nestle Crunch.
Scrumptious.
And microwavable candy tops are made with real Nestle chocolate.
Can't top that.
Ice cream's only ice cream until Nestle tops it with candy tops.
If you're talking about it,
it was fascinating, really.
It's on. Donahue.
Those gorgeous ladies of wrestling, those rough and tumble women of the ring, have caught on like wildfire. What's the secret of their success? And how much do they make? And how much of what they do is real? Watch the Glow Girls in action and meet their manager, Jackie Stallone, Sly's mom. Next, Donahue.
Thursday at 8 on Channel 4.
There should be a one-year halt to development in the uptown area of Minneapolis. That's the recommendation of a city council committee. The Zoning and Planning Committee voted in favor of the moratorium yesterday, and the full council will take up the issue tomorrow. The Lake and Hennepin intersection is one of the busiest and most polluted in the state, and developers already have plans to add an 8-screen movie theater and an apartment building to the area. Rescue workers are still recovering bodies from a devastating train wreck in northwestern Mexico. At least 99 people are believed dead, more than 100 others injured in the crash of a passenger train that plunged off a bridge into the San Rafael River, about 730 miles from Mexico City. Last week's torrential rains are being blamed for weakening the bridge, which just collapsed when the train approached. The train was known as the Burro because it stops at almost every station from Mazatlan to the California border. And at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, a military cargo plane crashed during a training exercise, killing 1 crewman, injuring 6 others. The C-130 Hercules hit the ground nose first and flames erupted, but were put out in about an hour. No word yet on what caused that crash. The United States is sending a fleet of military aircraft to help search for Congressman Mickey Leland, whose plane disappeared over Ethiopia 3 days ago. Among the aircraft on the way, a U-2 photo reconnaissance plane and a C-141 medical evacuation plane. One of the other 13 people on board Leland's plane is 35-year-old Patrice Johnson of Minneapolis. She is the congressman's chief of staff. And we have this just in. The U.S. Embassy in Ethiopia says a weather satellite has picked up what could be an emergency signal from that airplane. An Iranian newspaper is quoted as saying today that indirect talks will begin in the next few days between the United States and Iran over the current hostage crisis. Meanwhile, President Bush says he is anxious to get the hostages back, but is still making no deals with terrorists. 2 barriers have been broken in the United States military today. Bush administration sources say 4-star Army General Colin Powell may be tapped as the first black man to head the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Powell now heads the Army Forces Command. And for the first time in West Point's 187-year history, the captain of the Corps of Cadets is a woman. Kristen Baker calls herself an Army brat who grew up the daughter of an Army colonel, and she now commands a brigade of more than 4,400 West Point cadets. Still ahead, the mighty mist commands man's attention, and cleanup efforts are paying off.
Working at McDonald's isn't the first job I ever loved. I worked at a mill for 37 years before I retired. Yeah, I used to tell people my wife just got tired of packing my lunch. I like keeping busy, but I like my time off too. McDonald's lets me pick my own hours. Yeah, me and my wife have sort of switched. Now I pack her lunch. I made these myself. Oh, you. Stop by your local McDonald's. For you, this could be the perfect job.
It's back, and this time no one escapes. The Thing is back. Highland's electronic thing. The most incredible electronics and appliance sale ever. And it's taking over in every Highland store.
Looking at Helen. I never.
With the very latest at very low prices. Like this programmable VHS video recorder with HQ circuitry, just $139. And these Bose two-way 60-watt bookshelf speakers, just $98 each. It's back. Now through Saturday at every Highland superstore. Highland's electronic thing is back. And make no mistake, sometime this week, it has plans for you.
There's something about a train that's magic. And Holiday Travel brings that magic to you. As you travel by train from Chicago to Toronto, you'll see the buildings of Parliament, enjoy lunch at fabulous Eaton Center, and a delightful harbor cruise. There's also the wonderful play Hello Dolly and the beautiful Cullen Country Gardens, all from only $599 per person double. For your free brochure, call Holiday Travel 1-800-826-2266.
5 majestic eagles will get new digs thanks to a group of Job Corps students today. Students in the Hubert H. Humphrey Job Corps trained at the Home Builders Institute presented their specially constructed cages to the University of Minnesota Raptor Center this morning. The cages will house eagles injured in Minnesota or in the Alaskan oil spill, recovering at the Raptor Center. They expect to build more cages throughout next year. Those cages, having been involved with the Raptor Center for many years myself, I know those cages will be appreciated.
That's wonderful.
This weather, we just keep getting beautiful days. We'd like to have one that wasn't quite so beautiful, maybe with a little rain or thunder showers in it somewhere.
It's going to be tough the next few days. The atmosphere just really kind of stuck in the same old pattern. I don't see a great chance for rain throughout the next few days, although I think we will have a better chance as we move into tomorrow night and then perhaps into Friday as well, make that Saturday morning. Another beautiful day out there today, Bill. It's just real nice. It's tough to take this too many days in a row. Partly sunny is the current sky condition. We're at 82 degrees already this afternoon. Our relative humidity 43%. South breeze at 12. Our dew point up a little bit from yesterday. Yesterday low 50s. Today we're at 57. And our barometer is 30.11. It is steady. Well, we had a fairly comfortable low this morning of 60 degrees in the Twin Cities. But with that strong August sunshine and still some fairly dry air, temperatures rising quickly. 60 this morning, we were up to 70 degrees already by about 9 o'clock, 79 by 11, 82 right now. And for later this afternoon with that strong sunshine, we're forecasting the temperatures to sneak up into the upper 80s, looking for a high of about 87 by later this afternoon. At the noon hour around the area, temperatures are still fairly mild. Low 80s across central Minnesota. Some 70s out in the Dakotas. We're going to show you why they're cooler out there in just a couple of minutes. But we're looking for mid to upper 80s across all of Minnesota. Not much of a contrast in temperatures. 4D satellite shows you why it's cooler in the Dakotas. We have some clouds rolling into the eastern Dakotas. They're staying to our west, but you can see a band of clouds from about Aberdeen, South Dakota, down through Pipestone in southwestern Minnesota. With that, we have had just a couple of showers. Now, live National Weather Service radar from Huron, South Dakota shows you what I'm talking about. Little band of just real light showers up to the northeast of Aberdeen. They're moving down toward Watertown. Another little scattered shower down around Brookings, South Dakota. I don't think they're going to make it into the Twin Cities until maybe tomorrow night, and only an isolated chance the way things are looking. Across the nation in terms of rainfall, you can see those showers in the Dakotas, a little more organized thunderstorm activity throughout Kansas, Oklahoma. The east is still quite soggy as that slow-moving front just kind of hangs out there. They're going to see some more hefty rainfalls today. The reason why we're dry and why we're still warm is a very slow-moving, stagnant weather pattern. High pressure still locked in over the Ohio Valley, warm air being pumped up behind it. This trough is going to try to make it closer to the Twin Cities by tomorrow, maybe spread a shower into southwestern Minnesota, but our chances for rain look pretty slim. So the Twin Cities forecast for today, mostly sunny skies. We'll see some altocumulus clouds out there. Take a look up in the sky if you get a chance. It'll be warm with a high near 87, south to southeast winds at 10 to 15. For tonight, partly cloudy, a little warmer than we have been the last few nights. Morning low about 62, a southeast breeze at 5 to 10. Then for tomorrow, partly cloudy and still warm. There is just a chance of an isolated afternoon shower. Tomorrow's high about 85, and maybe a little better chance for rain come Saturday. Bill?
Okay, thank you, Paul. We're looking forward to that rain. This week, the governors of Minnesota and Wisconsin met in La Crosse for a river summit to discuss the future of the mighty Mississippi River. They began formulating plans to handle a possible environmental disaster on the river. As Don Shelby and producer Pat Weiland found, the Mississippi is getting back in shape after years of pollution cleanup efforts.
It has paid the price to be called the mighty Mississippi. Mighty because it quenches the thirst of millions, carries the grain of a nation on its currents, washes away the waste and sewage of cities. It is a mightiness that has nearly cost the river its life. But in the dark of a June night 2 years ago, the river gave birth to a swarm of mayflies, so thick a bridge had to be closed. After 50 years, the mayflies have returned, a sign the river is returning to life, its polluted waters clearing.
The river has some sort of a charismatic attraction, I guess.
Downstream from the Twin Cities, biologists Mike Davis and Stephen Johnson work with the state DNR, trying to rescue the river.
All life was pretty much killed off, or at least periodically killed off, by the effluent from the sewage plants or from raw sewage going in the river.
Water quality has been a serious threat to the river for decades. 25 years ago, fishing was suspended as the fish became contaminated by PCBs and other pollutants. There is still a fish advisory on the river. The state recommends only 1 fish per month from these waters, but contamination levels are dropping.
Oh, it feels great. I wish we could get a handle on the other problems and get everything coming around. I look forward to it. I think we're going to see increased water quality.
In 1978, there was a total fish kill on the 20 miles of river south of St. Paul. The culprit? The Metro Wastewater Treatment Facility at Pigseye. Since then, federal and state taxes have poured several $100 million into improvements that have helped clear the problem. Since the days of Tom Sawyer, navigation has made the river a virtual highway. This year, more than 15 million tons of grain, oil, and coal will flow to and from Minnesota. But a century of dredging to keep those channels open has ravaged wildlife areas.
The Corps had their mission to maintain the channel for navigation, and they didn't recognize that they also had a responsibility for the fish and wildlife habitat.
Environmentalists and several states have sued the Army Corps of Engineers. Now the Corps is working to restore the fragile wetlands. Once again, the graceful blue heron is nesting in the backwaters, along with the snowy egret. And the rare osprey is returned to eat fish from these waters. And the people are coming back. Pleasure boats in record numbers moor at river marinas. People pack the shorelines on weekends.
With half the population of Minnesota in the Twin Cities, they used to look on the Mississippi as some sort of slimy sewer, and now I think people are discovering this part of the state.
Johnson is conducting the first survey ever of recreational boating on the Mississippi, using aerial photography to monitor congestion, a status no longer exclusive to the St. Croix.
It's beautiful.
Reversing the damage done over the decades to this majestic resource is as difficult as reversing the flow of the river itself. But the currents have already begun to change.
Governor Perpich says he plans to ask the legislature for nearly $70 million to continue improvements at the Twin Cities Wastewater Treatment Center. If you are like thousands of Minnesotans, you might exercise at a local health club. But if you get hurt, could you cancel your membership? Tonight at 5, consumer specialist Sylvia Gambardella shows us two people who suffered injuries and tried to cancel their memberships. Find out how their struggle to cancel their contracts could affect you. If you've run into a problem with your health club membership, let us know. Until 1 this afternoon, our Help Center phone lines are open at 989-HELP. Coming up, Michael J. Fox goes from family ties to a very different kind of role.
Anybody can blow anybody away, which is the way it ought to be, always.
Military court-martials are notoriously lenient.
My job, sir, was to kill communist aggressors.
First came the Magic Kingdom, then the incredible Epcot Center. Now comes the new Disney MGM Studios theme park. Disney MGM Studios theme park at Walt Disney World in Florida.
It's new, light and lively 100 calorie, 8 ounces of fruit yogurt, and only 100 calories.
Eat smart, light and lively. Eat smart.
Light and lively 100, only 100 calories, not 240 like this other fruit yogurt, because it's sweetened with 100% NutraSweet, not sugar.
Eat smart, 100 calories. You're looking good, light and lively. Eat smart.
Some toys come with their own sound effects. Elmer's glue doesn't. Some toys are ready to go at the flip of a switch. With Elmer's glue, some assembly is required. With some toys, kids just use their hands. But with Elmer's Glue All and Elmer's School Glue, kids use their imagination, too. So instead of just zapping aliens, your kids could also be creating them. Elmer's, we let the imagination take hold.
New England, California, Nova Scotia, the Ozarks. Join Holiday Travel on a relaxing fall motorcoach tour and enjoy the most beautiful scenery in North America.
Tours depart throughout the WCCO viewing area September through October. For your free catalog, call Holiday Travel toll-free 1-800-826-2266. You'll be glad you did.
It's an unusual teaming, one of the most liked men in Hollywood, Michael J. Fox, along with one of the least liked, Sean Penn, in a true story of war. Casualties of War will be released next week. I recently spoke with Michael J. Fox. Sean Penn talks to almost no one about that film and about recent changes in Fox's life, including the conclusion of the television series Family Ties.
Obviously, you have a very busy career without that, but still it represented something in your life that must have had a twinge of sadness when it left, huh?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I'm 28 years old. Family Ties was a quarter of my life. Was just one of those happy accidents that you know, becomes you know, a major thing in your life. So I'm kind of sad that it's over, although there's no denying that it's time to move on. But I don't regret a minute of it, not a second of it.
It's interesting how many actors understand how fortuitous certain breaks were in life.
You know for a fact going in that there's somebody driving a cab in Minneapolis who's the next great actor, but he may never ever do it for one reason or another. So it's a matter of being in the right place at the right time, and then I would only add to that doing the right thing when you get there.
Michael's new film, Casualties of War, is a dead serious true story taken from the Vietnam War.
He's trying to kill me, man. I told him. And they don't care!
The character Michael plays resists pressure from the rest of his squad to participate in the kidnap and rape of a young Vietnamese woman. The film poses the question,
you know, are the morals and the ethics and the humanitarian attitudes that we have, are they environmental or do they transfer? When you're out of this comfy spot where it's very easy to say, oh, I love my fellow man, and oh, I feel this way and I feel that way. If you're in hell and someone's got a gun to your head, do you stick by those things? Is there something in you that'll click and it's no longer your decision?
Away from the somberness of this motion picture, how has being a father expanded your life?
You know, 2-3 years ago, having 2 films coming out, like I do now with Casualties and then, you know, Back to the Future in a few months, would have been the middle of everything. And it is so far from the middle of everything right now that it's really great.
Yeah.
Your work is your work. Your life is much more important than your work. That there are better things to become obsessed with, and your children is definitely one of them.
Nice man. That's it for today. We'll see you tomorrow on the Newsroom.